Hey everybody, Motorpoet 59 here. We'll do a little follow-on piece from the one I did on reparations. I got to thinking about that, and it dawned on me, and I think I mentioned it in the first video, that California wasn't a slave state. And so what about all the people in California who never had anything to do with slavery, whose families never had anything to do with slavery? What about the other minorities? What about Hispanics? What about Asians? What about the Chinese? If anybody in California deserves reparations from the state of California, it should be the Chinese. I'm reading this book right here called Nothing Like It in the World. It's about the building of the Transcontinental Railroad by Stephen Ambrose, who most people know from his books about World War II. But I want to read a little excerpt from this, because this is what actually made me decide to do a video about this rather than just thinking about all the people who had nothing to do with slavery at all in their existence or their family's existence. And this piece here is going on about when Charles Crocker suggested that they use Chinese to build the railroad with, because they couldn't keep white men or anybody else working on the railroad because everybody was trying to get rich in the gold fields. And so every time they would have a payday, everybody would just disappear. And a guy named Strobridge, who was was in charge of the construction of the railroad, didn't want to hire Chinese. He didn't like them. No one liked Chinese. I'm going to read a little clips, actually kind of a big clip, because it entails a lot of things. There were in California at that time some 60,000 Chinese, nearly all adults and the great proportion of them males. They had come for the same reason as the whites, to make money, first of all in the gold fields. But California law discriminated against them in every way possible, and the state did all it could to degrade them and deny them a decent livelihood. They were not allowed to work in the mother lode. They had to work the tailings, and to do that, they had to pay a miner's tax, $4 per person, so-called permission tax, plus a $2 water tax. In addition, the Chinese had to pay a personal tax, a hospital tax, a $2 school tax, and a property tax. But they could not go to public school. They could not own land. They were denied citizenship. They could not vote, nor could they testify in court. Nevertheless, they paid more than $2 million in taxes. If Chinese dared to venture into a new mining area, the whites would set on them, beat them, rob them, sometimes kill them. Thus came the saying, not a Chinaman's chance in hell. It goes on in more depth about the way the Chinese were vilified. And this was after the Civil War, and this went on into the early 20s, before people finally started to accept the Chinese in America, even though generally they were still forced to live in different parts of town. And that is why so many towns, including Bakersfield, had a Chinatown. It wasn't because it was cute or culturally neat. It's because that's where they were forced to live. And they all lived together. But anyway, when it comes to reparations for black people who can prove that they were involved in slavery, what about us? My family, my dad's family, didn't get here till after the Civil War. My mom's family had been here for a long time, but they were way too poor. I have a history of their family in a hardcover book called The Andersons of Rowlett Creek, and they were always too poor to have slaves. But I don't see how all the other citizens of California should have to pay a tax, have money come out of their tax dollars for the reparations of any one people, or just a small number of that group. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. What about the Mexicans? We essentially, I mean, the Spanish were the ones who actually took this land from them, and we kind of took it from them. But what about the Mexicans? They got hosed too. What about reparations for them? This is not about justice or equality. I've said that 100 times. This is about pandering to a group of people. The left, I believe, in California are starting to get the message that no matter what they do for the Mexican immigrants or the Hispanics, whoever's coming up from wherever, they're not landing on their side of the political spectrum, no matter what they do to pander to them. But they continue to try it with the blacks in California, and I don't know if it's going to work or not. But that's all this is about. It is not about equality or anything else. This is about a larger voting base. All right, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content, and we'll see you all later.